Hey folks, and welcome to part 5 of our low-tiered specs working their way through Mythic Plus. That being Arcane Mage, Protection Paladin, Holy Priest, Marksmanship Hunter, and Feral Druid. Let's get started. Buoyed by last week's lack of Grievous, yet again we were looking at some good progress. Personally, now armed with the start of level 460 Conquest gear, we're looking at some good things, especially when we opened up another junkyard on +8. Sure, it won't help the rankings that much, but hey, if it's the best, it's the best. We've had bolstering before, what about skittish? As a healer, I've never really been bothered by it before. It can't be that bad, can it?
Ah, in your face, anti-melee one.
It's time for Owl.
I love how not only are you doing an F-tier spec, is that you found the one talent that makes it even more meme if you use it.
A talent that's actually going to be like viable. Well, I mean, more viable next expansion.
Yes, but that's the next expansion.
Next expansion is, next expansion means pre-patch for talents, so it's closer than you think.
Yeah, but that's not. They're getting rid of all the corruptions as well, which is going to make fire pretty shit. I haven't respec'd yet.
What are you going to play instead? Frost?
Arcane.
No fire. I'll worry about it. I'm not going to respec for the pre-patch. That's just a massive waste of life.
What's interesting to me is that if we do another F tier alt thing next expansion, we might all be playing completely different characters.
Yeah, I can just play my main probably. No.
Same. I don't
Druid.
expect Arcane to be good for longer periods of time.
Imagine thinking that Druid could ever be F tier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right? Fucking hell. Other than obviously Feral.
Well, yeah, but Feral's a meme, so Feral's a constant, permanent meme.
Feral's
Yeah,
always been just ridiculous.
They had their one brief moment in the ogre tier.
Yeah, hi Mol.
And after that it was
and
ogre
they
for
were
them. I mean, you have to do
Rob.
it. It's obligatory.
Rob, you are the wind beneath my wings. How did he hit me there? I was behind him.
Yeah, I noticed that. Maybe you were so close that you were still in the hitbox or something. But I hear that Feral Druids actually have a lower base melee range, so it makes sense.
Oh my god.
Who is that again? And the biggest thing
Healing spells.
and the yes, that's exactly what I meant. I'm done.
Well, considering the meta of my equivalent is disc, what's Holy's biggest strength do you feel? The fact I can fucking heal people.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and then the fun fact is that Disc itself is also still fairly off meta. So
Yeah.
it's just not as off meta as Holy. It's more like, okay, if you insist on playing a priest healer, then at least play fucking Disc.
Yeah, well, I think
although to
sorry, go on.
I was about to say, it depends if I want to compare against a meta healer, like a druid, or the spec, because obviously no class is shit.
No.
There are specs that are shite.
Tinkers.
Why do people keep saying that as if it's a thing?
That's the joke.
I was gonna say, if it was a thing, I wouldn't know.
But I mean, then you can ask, what is the least meta class? And I think the answer to that would be Warlock.
I
probably,
actually
in
think
Mythic
it's
Plus.
Warlock as well. Yeah.
Because the best Mythic Plus spec that Warlock has is Destruction, and it's not that good. Demonology is also pretty shit, and Affliction is a complete meme. So
They literally just have nothing going for them, and I think that's an issue that, all the pures have that issue because the tanks especially are, they're all relatively okay. Because you simply can't have a tank that can't handle Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
And the healer way is similar, but I think that one thing that puts Holy Priest a bit weaker is that for a tank, their role is pretty clear. Whereas a healer, your healer is expected to do other stuff, whereas your tank is pretty much expected to, tank and control the mobs. They're all expected to do similar things. Whereas
Yeah.
healers are. I mean, I would have thought that healers are much more different to each other than tanks are. Not much more. Sorry, that's not the right word. But like, tanks are probably more similar to each other than healers are to each other.
Yeah, I think so. Mainly because what tanks usually differ, like if you discount stuff like mitigation, tanks
Yeah.
usually differ in the utility they offer, and utility is by its very nature very niche.
Yeah.
Like it's cool that I can do, you know, Blessing of Protection, but that in itself does not make me like a good or a bad spec. And it's cool that I can reflect on my warrior, but that in itself is not what makes Prot Warrior good.
Yeah.
Like the main difference between the tanks in terms of being meta is the damage, because that's what I'm really missing from Prot Paladin. I don't do that much damage compared to my warrior, even if my warrior had this level of gear, or my paladin had my warrior's level of gear.
So I mean, the other thing as well that
Let's hero this.
compared to like for healers compared to tanks is that in other forms of content you are only ever going to have 2 tanks, and generally speaking you only actually ever have 1 tank, really.
Yeah. You usually have 1 tank actively tanking. That's
Yeah,
the main
exactly.
thing.
Whereas healer, you can have upwards of like, 3 plus.
Yeah.
So healers can be more different to each other.
They can be designed to have different strengths, and that's not really the same thing for tanks. Like
No.
for tanks, you notice it in some encounters, like I forget the name, the penultimate fight of Eternal Palace.
Yeah. He has weird faceless.
Yeah, faceless man.
Yeah.
Started
Yeah,
with a Q.
Is that cool?
Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
the
a
cool
cool.
sounds right.
Yeah.
Started with
And
a Q. I was right.
The thing is that a fight like Zakul, you can really notice that certain tanks are much better at tanking the boss, and certain tanks are much better at, not tanking the boss. But that is not that's not the baseline design that you expect.
Yeah.
Zakul,
No.
it's not.
Maybe I should have used Berserking.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good idea, using your main DPS cooldown. It's moving, isn't it? Yeah, it's moving. But yeah, like, the thing is that Zakul is like, okay, you never tank swap, but you just have 1 tank that's linked and taking... Shag's happy about not being melee. And then you have 1 tank that's actually taking damage. Like, the fact that we were double warrior on that fight did not help Illy at all, because warriors are so good at being the boss tank, but then we have 2 of them, so...
Yeah.
But again, that's not the baseline for design, so...
No, the basic design for tank is take physical hits.
Yeah, and mitigate them well, and then there's a difference in how well they mitigate them. Like, Prot Paladin is probably the opposite of Blood Death Knight in that regard.
And obviously, like, as you get further, as you move into DPS, then you have even more variety. Like, DPS has obviously got the greatest variety by a massive margin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have specs that can't damage 2 targets at once, for some bizarre reason.
Fucking rude.
But fucking true. So, don't run into pull, because I'm pulling these back, so don't run into melee them. Now you can.
I thought I was going to just go into owl form there. It's like, well, if I can't run into melee range.
I mean, that would have been fine. It was purely like pulling them away from the other pack, because otherwise we would have pulled that pack. So,
Are you saying that this group is actually going to be better at dealing with the first boss of Freehold on Tyrannical, because we can just have go balance affinity the entire time?
but he actually does no damage in owl form. That's my main problem.
Yeah,
I did perfectly alright damage.
that's simple. All you do is you just get Heart of the Wild early. You asked Ian whether you can get it. I can't quite remember what it's replacing for. What was it? It's on the CC talent row, isn't it? Oh, it's Typhoon. Does Feral have access to Typhoon? Yeah, I think he does. Yeah. So so it's Typhoon being lost, and instead you're getting Heart of the Wild.
To be fair,
I would. Oh, I forgot it's. it's that
Skittish.
skittish. I'm not. I play a class that doesn't understand what skittish is. By a class, I mean a spec.
A roll, even.
A roll, yeah.
To be fair, it doesn't help that it's fortified, and because these guys were not in the main group, they didn't get AoE down, so now they're pretty high bolstered.
There's no water line of sight them this time.
Nope. I'm pretty sure like they're okay to deal with when it's just them. It's like when it's just them and the others as well.
Yeah.
A bit more dangerous.
It was nice to have something to heal though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Without Grievous.
No, without Grievous, this is completely like, I am just overconfident with it. Very moment is Grievous, everything's hard.
But at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, a lot of the books are just not actualized. Not digitalized, not anything. Maybe I shouldn't have pulled so many grunters with trash that does random damage to the group already.
I think it's the Stitches as well. I never knew Stitches was so much of an issue. Now I know why someone made all their jokes about a mage being in melee range.
Yeah.
I didn't even see what.
Now I feel Neri's pain and I can't make that joke anymore.
I can't check because my recap is unavailable.
That's weird.
You just suddenly, I looked up and you were dead.
Might have been a combination of the grasping hex and something else. Although I probably should have done my blessing of freedom on Neri.
I'm just trying to see if it's my fault.
Don't think so.
Well, I wasn't rooted since Druid.
Might also be that you just got focused by everything and just one tapped, basically.
I think actually what probably happened is probably my fault. I think I may have used Frost Nova to stop stuff getting away from me, which probably just made it turn around and hit Nina.
Oh yeah, that's very possible actually.
Ah, that old chestnut. Kill your melee by using Frost Nova.
I forget that I can't treat Frost Nova the same as Ursul's Vortex. Because Ursul's Vortex does not kill your melee, well, apart from in the Toldazar. So I feel we're still doing pretty well on time.
Yeah, we're doing fine. Like, we're on the last boss, like the penultimate boss, and we have almost 5 minutes left on the +3, so that's pretty good.
Good news is Garon's got back into the territory where I don't need to heal him again.
Which is usually a good sign.
Yep. Yeah, that's the real healing approach, is find the right tank.
I mean, honestly, same.
I think Illy is going to go Venthyr not for that reason.
Cassia would not.
Stand there if I were you.
Cassia would not go Venthyr for that, because then Cassia would end up being.
From Cassia's point of view, I couldn't tell you where she would go.
Just
Probably.
Just
Yeah, that was very not good.
That was
We need to
my
reset. Need to reset. Kill the mobs and reset.
well, luckily, most of us can do that.
There we go.
Wow, it does actually reset if you run too far away?
Yep.
I'm honestly surprised about that, to be honest.
Most
Oh
bosses
no, I am dead. Look at me.
So I was going to say Niri's got her thing sorted, but no, she's the one class who can do it both.
Yeah, I can do it twice.
Yeah, like the Venthyr mage one is like you put mirrors on the target, and then every time they use an ability or a spell, they take damage, and when the final mirror is consumed, they're silenced and rooted.
Sounds fun for PvP.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
else.
Like it's the kind of thing that could be good for PvP, but like again, you would mostly pick it for the damage, not really for the silence or the root. I think the main concern there is if you're facing a mob that doesn't really have that many abilities, it's not going to proc.
I was going to say, like,
But also, you've got stole it. You've got other abilities where you can sort of choose when the damage comes in, like I would assume, looking on paper, the Bastion one I think is probably what I would pick on Granora, because it feels like I can basically it's like a mini cooldowny type thing, isn't it? Like for a short time, you
Yeah.
don't deal increased damage.
I think it also depends a lot on what spec you're playing. Like the Bastion one is probably going to synergize much better with the with Arcane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Necrolord's one also synergizes better with Arcane, whereas the Necrolord's one might be fucking terrible for fire. So
I mean,
Well-
a short burst window is going to work on every mage spec.
the thing is that it's a short burst window in the sense that your Fireball does 20% of its damage as Cleave, and your main damage is not Fireball, and you're not
Oh,
Fireballing
right.
your
So,
combustion.
okay, right. I didn't realize it was that.
Yeah,
It's
no.
one- I don't. I have not looked at any of them because I can't see the point until the theory crafters have done the maths.
Yeah, no, and that's also fine. But that's why I'm. Oh wait, also don't realize why I went here when we have to go through the front.
It doesn't really matter. I don't think the mob count makes much of a difference.
Nah, it's like 1 pack extra maybe. So I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Like, but yeah, I think the Kyrian one for mage, it looks very solid on the whole. Like you almost can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm.
I think the biggest issue with Arcane at the moment, according to that one fucking dude I don't want to listen to except about this one thing, is that Arcane has such a massive setup time where it's like, at this point, like 6 abilities you need to cast before you can start bursting with Arcane Blast, which is not super fun.
No.
Do people even use Holy Nova? I don't know.
Probably not. They do. They use it when clearing old raids because that's the only way to actually do AOE. So priests that normally play Shadow just go Holy to clear old raids because it's easier to AOE that way.
Interesting.
Also, like particularly earlier raid
Except for
encounters.
that one Shadow Priest who has to go Vampiric Embrace.
I don't think that was a thing back then.
Maybe it was a TBC thing.
Yeah, I think it was
That's
But-
very true.
But
when
then
they got
in TBC
replenishment.
But then in TBC, weren't Shadow? Yeah, exactly. Weren't Shadow Priest basically a mana battery?
Yeah,
Yes. And we have the Shadow Priest who refused to use it since it didn't do any DPS.
To be fair, the biggest learning curve for me was misremembering things from Classic because I only played Classic for like barely any time. So, but I played TBC from the start. So I've forgotten so many things that were different between Classic and TBC that I thought were from Classic, but actually were from TBC.
oh, there was something
Right.
else that when I was doing my leveling that I completely forgot had been a thing on Classic and not a thing now, and I can't. Don't need that button. I shouldn't quite remember what it was exactly. Oh man, I really wish I could remember what it was.
Nice.
Oh, I died so fast. Hey, I did damage that fight.
Oh boy,
Hey,
we have a level 10 Temple of Sepharis.
Not a
bad.
bad dungeon.
Despite 2 chesting and getting that all-important +10, 1 run is all we had time for. A real shame for sure. I feel we're all getting into the groove of the ults and chomping at the bit for some Awakened. Until then, however, rather than look at the rankings, I thought it might be time to reflect on these specs. Starting with what we enjoy having, a light in the darkness as you would with these subpar specs. Now, bearing in mind, these are just ults and we're not that knowledgeable about them, so these aren't necessarily the best things about each spec. They're what we enjoy and we feel bring good stuff to the Mythic Plus group. For our Paladin, over his Warrior, it's utility. All tanks bring a little something different in that regard, but when Paladin's utility is good, it can be really good. Blessing and Protection being the main one. Instantly remove those bleeds. There are more of those than you think. For our Priest, even though he mains a Fire Mage, his vast ult area of expertise has led him to a variety of healers, and for Holy, it's the big heals. Holy is almost the default healing role, a bit of everything. Whereas Resto Druid or Disc Priest might need some planning, sometimes you just want to react to big damage with big heals. For our Demon Hunter, now Feral, it's Owl Weaving. It may look good and maybe not be that great for damage, but the ability to deal damage at range when the situation calls for it is something of a rarity for melee. For our Hunter, well, she's our Arcane Mage, already an F tier spec. For her, it's easy. Movement. When she wants to, or needs to, she can, and not worry about it. It's the simple things sometimes. Speaking of Arcane, it's my turn. I may main a healer, but even those can deal damage. What I like about Arcane is how flexible its big burst windows can be, especially at the levels of Mythic Plus we're at. How much that will keep up? Well, we'll find out when we get there. That's all for this week though. Until then, see you at the next one.